All right. Hello, friends, and welcome back to some more Our Life Beginnings and Always. I'm so excited to do another episode of this, you guys. I have been thinking about this since the last time I recorded last episode. Like, this is all that I think about all day. And I'm excited to get into the 13-year-old arc and see what all of these moments have to bring. And maybe also see a little bit more of Derek so I can see whether or not I want to buy his DLC. As of right now, I don't know anything pretty much about him. And so I'm still on the fence. We'll have to get to know him, you know? But for now, let's hit the waves. It's probably something surfing related, I think. The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. That's always awful. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. Nice. Ma came out of the front door and paused just ahead of you. Need any help with that, Kit? I can bring it the rest of the way if you want me to. No. I could just manage to hold it. If it's really heavy, I probably wouldn't be able to carry it. But I'm also very stubborn, so she asked it, and I was like, no, I'm good, I've got this. I believe in myself, but not really. Even if it was heavy, you wanted to bring it in yourself. Ma gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your beige hair. I mean, that's certainly a way you could describe it. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth blew the house down. Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood. Careful, Kit. You hadn't been looking where you were going and bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes to boot. Yikes. Sorry. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. She grinned at the bad joke as you continued through the door. Outside, Ma had started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze. It's a shame we had to spend the morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think? You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear, blue expanse. Yeah, it is. You closed your eyes and enjoyed the way the sun warmed your face for a few moments, before turning back to help Ma with the groceries. Oh, hi, Cove. You want to help us put up some groceries? You noticed Mom wave over at Cove, who had just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm. I knew it was going to be something surfing related. Let me see, surfboard and wetsuit. Where might you be off to this beautiful day? Shopping. Cove flinched at being called so suddenly. He hadn't realized there were people out here already, but he quickly recovered. Good one, Mrs. Dickett. He crossed the pavement to properly say hello to you and your moms. Hello, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I haven't been out on the waves in a long time. I'm jealous. I can't imagine an adult, or like a parent in general, who surfs. Yeah, that's just a strange concept for me, for some reason. Anyway, Cove smiled, pleased to have people around who shared in his hobby. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a few good waves before it gets dark. Do you want to come hang out there later, Kit? Alright. Cool. Can I help out with anything? No, this is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Kit can catch up as soon as they are finished here. Alright, I'll see you. Yeah. You watched as Cove headed off towards the beach, unable to hide your grin, knowing that you'd be joining him soon. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, those were words, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. You weren't sure what you were going to do. He was surfing and you didn't know how. I've never been interested in learning. Like, I definitely grew up around beaches. I grew up boating. Surfing was never a thing that I was really into. You said the same thing to your parents, and while Ma laughed a little, Mom gave you a smile. You'll just have to go there and see what happens. Cove must have been so excited to invite you there that he forgot you don't surf. Or he's hoping you'll go to watch him so he can show off. Oh yes, I used to do that. Parent lore? I know, hun. I experienced Kit's situation firsthand. I was stuck on the shore, too. You noticed what I was doing? Yes, after the very first time. It's not a subtle move. This is so cute. How embarrassing. I was still impressed. Aw, thank you. That's sweet. It's so cute. I'm so glad my character even said it, because... Okay. Hey, what are you still doing here? Go on, have your fun. You're only young once. Oh, YOLO. But don't do anything I wouldn't have. Okay. At your parents' prodding, you hurried to leave the house and head down to the beach. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft calls of seagulls. You took in a lungful of ocean air and felt your peachy skin warm in the sun. Did I bring sunscreen? You noticed a small setup nearby with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. Must be Cove's. You spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to sea yet. Okay? He was just sitting in the sand at the water's edge, his board propped up beside him. You walked up beside him. Hi, I made it. Kit. That is me. You gonna say hi, or are you just gonna say my name? He looked up at you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet. I was wondering if you were still coming. I said I was going to. I guess I wouldn't have missed it. I don't know. He chuckled shyly at your insistence. Okay. Then he cast his eyes out towards the waves. I will stay here and watch you? Oh, I don't know how to surf, my dude. Nor do I think I have the balance for something like that. I can't even ride a bike. I just flop over. You're ready to spread out your towel and take it easy. I don't have to go out. I'll stay with you on shore. No. Go. Or, if you want, you could use one of my other boards. I could teach you. Can I just sit out there? Like I said, I would fall. Many times. I'd fall the entire time. Fuck it, why not? If I had a friend who said, I'd teach you how to surf, I'd be like, okay, I'll try it. Once. I'll do it. Let's surf. Cool. It was settled. Cove left up the shore and then returned with an extra board under his arm in no time at all. You paddled out into the sea, glad I know how to do that, to where the good waves were. The water was cool against your skin. I really dove into this. Not too calm, but nothing crazy. It looks perfect today. This is a face for you. He smiled at you and you couldn't help but smile back. You felt totally content. Until Cove kicked the water a little too hard and it inadvertently splashed you. Hey! Sorry. The apology did not come across as especially repentant, as he was practically laughing when he said it. I splash him back. You laughed, but waited for an opening for revenge. The second he looked away, you kicked back, spraying him. Is that any way to treat someone trying to help? I came out here to teach you. And I was just following your example. Ooh, good comeback. Cove tried to keep a straight face, but ended up looking away. The water you flicked at him landed in shiny droplets in his hair. Then here's another lesson, I'm scared. He soaked you deliberately this time. He used his full leg and an impressive curtain of water hit you in the face. You lost your balance and scrambled to keep hold of the board. No, I'm going in, trust me. You just managed to stay on, but it was close. Cove winced. Are you okay? That wasn't what I was trying to do. I'm fine, but we should do the real teaching. Yeah. He chuckled awkwardly and shook some water out of his ear. With that, Cove started telling you all the tips and tricks of how to stay on a surfboard. Meow. He demonstrated both good and bad posture. Okay, posture is part of this, and explained where you needed to put your weight. Like this? You wiggled your body so that you were more in the center of your board. Cove nodded. Yep, just like that. The little lesson continued, and it was disastrous. I don't know. I don't want to say it was disastrous, but I also don't want to say that I'm good at it. Like I said, I can't even balance enough to ride a bike. So I'm definitely not good. I'd say I'd struggle. I don't know. Cove tried as best as he could to help you improve. It was difficult for the both of you to work it out, but progress was made. Since you weren't truly ready for it, Cove never pushed you to start taking on the full waves, which meant he didn't either. Great, cool. Go do a wave. Come on, I believe in you. Instead, he stuck by your side in calmer seas to assist with your practice. There was no disappointment on his face over how things played out. Even if you hadn't reached the point of doing any real, serious surfing yet, it was still a lot of fun. Many laughs were shared between the two of you. What an afternoon. The setting sun was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it had sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. You knew you should get out of the water before it was completely dark in the sea. You rode one last wave. Did I ride a single one? To get back to the beach. There you picked up your surfboard and gave it a quick once-over. Cove followed behind you to the shore. He put his board with his other things and grabbed his towel to start drying off. As he ruffled his hair with the towel, he watched the sunset together. The colors were beautiful in the distance, and the shadows around you deepened. There was no need for words between you two as you both enjoyed the sight for a moment. Cove broke the silence. The waves were good today, I think. You didn't try a single one, so... I don't know. I guess. He nodded mildly. You chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out, and all you heard was the rhythmic sound of waves. Then, Cove sighed. The day can't be over. Not yet. He scowled into the distance as if the sun exiting the sky was a personal offense. Don't you think it should be longer? I feel like all days should be longer, so... Cove stood up straight in defiance of the approaching darkness. I'm not gonna go home yet. I want to go somewhere. I don't know. Well, you'd probably need a change if you wanted to go anywhere. Cove was still dripping in salt water, so you weren't sure what the alternative was. Wetsuits were fine for the beach, and not much else. It wasn't a good idea for him to lug a surfboard around town either. No. We'll sure be welcome anywhere soaking wet like this. Cove finally took note of his current state and laughed. He shrugged. Then he looked down the shore with wide, shining eyes. I wish I could read. There's at least one place that's always okay to hang out in, no matter what time it is. The park. You nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went there nowadays if she was looking for you. How times have changed. She used to be so protective of the place. In fact, the only person there was a chance of running into might be that Jeremy kid again. He brought the idea up to Cove and he cringed. But I'm still going. The sun is still there, a little. I'm staying out as long as it is. Sure. Okay, let's go. Cove took a minute to put his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though it didn't take much care to shake the sand off. You dealt with your own things. I don't know that I've ever in my life taken the care to really pack a bag and make sure everything looks nice. It's going in the bag. That's good enough for me. I'm done, Cove. He rolled his eyes with a bent smile at the announcement. He led the way down the beach to the park. It wasn't far, so it didn't take you long at all. The sun still hadn't completely disappeared just yet when you made your arrival. Cove stuck his surfboard upright in the sand. There's something about that that's so funny to me. Just like surfboards sitting straight up. I don't know. And tossed his towel over top. By now, the two of you were mostly dry. The summer breeze on your skin kept you pleasantly warm. Cove idly went to the monkey bars. Okay. He grabbed them, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to go across. He had definitely grown in the past few years. You were still short enough to use the monkey bars yourself. Sometimes being tiny had its perks. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cove pulled himself up and through, then sat on top of the bars. His legs dangled off to the side of the bar he perched on. Honestly, I saw those swings and I was like, I'm sitting on a swing. Hopefully the game gives me that option. I have no upper body strength to speak of. Saying oh, you could still use the bars. I never could. Swing. You sat right down on a free seat and started swinging your legs, first slowly, but then you added more power to your kicks. Air rushed past your face and ruffled your hair. You built up enough momentum to let it carry you. It was a lazy arc, not high or fast. Perfect for having a conversation. Guess what? He smiled broadly and raised an eyebrow. He's not here. I had to take a second to be like, who were we talking about? Jeremy. Right. It was true, there wasn't a single sign of Jeremy. Looks like it was just going to be the two of you tonight. Cove hung his head and groaned dramatically. Your eyes widened when he whipped his head back up. I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. You were taken aback and blinked for a second before you realized he was quoting Jeremy. Ugh, parents don't know anything. Cove chuckled back at you, amused. You looked around. The old park, the streets you knew like the back of your hand, and the beach. These were your stomping grounds. You wondered how Cove actually felt. How much was his joke just a joke, and how much was sincere dislike of this place. Moving had never been his choice. Do you actually like the neighborhood, though? Do you really have to ask that, Kit? Cove kicked his legs carelessly as they dangled. He smiled softly. I like it here. I really do. It's a nice place. He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty. That was his genuine opinion. Of course, I'm here after all. I'm stupid enough to say that. He shook his head with a rueful smile. It didn't take long for the day to finally draw to a close. The sun was gone, and it was dark. You chatted a while longer, but it was definitely winding down. I would probably not say anything. He sat in the dark in silence. Cove shifted positions so that his back was on the monkey bars and he could look up at the stars. Okay, that would terrify me. You wondered how comfortable that could be. Look at the moon. It's so clear tonight. Oh no. We're gonna turn into werewolves. You glanced up and saw a great gibbous moon. I don't know the phases of the moon. Swelling over the sky. Few clouds covered the sparkling stars above. Too bad we can't stay forever. Cove sighed. It was time to go home. He hopped down from the monkey bars with a thump when his feet hit the ground. You stopped moving your legs and stood when the swing slowed down. The chains rattled and the swing smacked into you a bit, its energy not entirely spent. Cove grabbed his surfboard and threw his towel around his neck. With his water bottle in hand, he was ready. You both began your trek up the road. It was a quiet night and you didn't run into anyone else. In what felt like no time at all, you had reached your street. As you walked, Cove smiled to himself. It was a soft expression, and you couldn't help but wonder what put it there. Cove? I just remember when we were younger, it used to be such a big deal to come home after dark. You could indeed recall. If you got sandy, your parents would have something to say. If you got wet, your parents would have more to say. And if you came home after dark, well, your moms and his dad better have said it was okay beforehand. You used to need permission for everything. That small comment he made exposed just how much freedom you really had this summer. Cove looked up into the sky, a small smile still on his face as the two of you walked side by side, reminiscing. When you came to your houses, you turned to each other. Thanks for today, Kit. It's nice seeing you, as if I don't see you like every day at this point. Yup. Cove waved and you both turned around to your respective houses. This was a pleasant end to the outing, he thought. Yup. I don't know, I feel like I'm awkward with thank yous as well, too. I would probably just say, Anyway, I'm going. So, a me thing to say. Let's do growing now. I've heard a little bit about growing. I kind of know what this is about, but I'm excited to see what all it is. Assuming that I'm thinking about the right moment. I don't know. Early one afternoon, you found yourself in the living room with your family. It was another one of those summer days where it felt too hot to go outside, but it was too uncomfortable to do anything inside either. The air conditioner was cranked up as far as you could negotiate it, but everyone was still being pretty lazy. You, your moms, and sister were lounging around while the TV blared on in the backdrop, ignored by all of you. You, specifically, were... Oh. Okay, interesting. Lying spread eagle on the carpet. Probably not me. Sitting on the floor. Maybe. Perched on the arm of the couch. I was never allowed to do that. I'm the type of person who would do that, but I was never allowed to do that. And draped over the coffee table is interesting. I guess I'll say sitting on the floor. You looked out the windows at the backyard, not that there was anything of particular interest to watch. Elizabeth broke the silence with a loud groan. You glanced over. She was lying on her back over the couch, massaging her calf with one hand. She was lying on her back over the couch, like on the top here. Okay. I feel terrible. I'm dying in this house and my legs hurt. Mom looked up from the magazine she'd barely been flipping through and frowned, concerned. Could you have strained them somehow? Elizabeth flailed briefly, then flopped over onto her side with a heavy sigh. I don't know, it just hurts. Oh, sweetheart. Ma got up from her seat in the kitchen table and walked over to your Okay, I thought we were all, like, in the living room. She's just at the kitchen table. She did a light pat on Elizabeth's shoulder sympathetically. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Maybe it's growing pains? You could be taller by next fall. Elizabeth scoffed. She didn't look impressed by Ma's assessment. I'd rather be my height forever than deal with this. Mom walked over too, leaning against the back of the couch. Kids, they grow up so fast. Soon Elizabeth will have a home of her own, maybe even a nice husband and some kids if she feels like it. She sniffed loudly and wiped at her eye, but you could tell it was just a bit. You tilted your head. Even though you knew Elizabeth liked guys, it was hard to imagine her with a boyfriend or husband. She only seemed invested in hanging out with her group of friends, not chasing after boys. Mom must agree with you because she shook her head. Let's not exaggerate, she's still practically a child. But if you ever do pursue romance, Elizabeth, you can come talk to me about it. Definitely, we're always willing to lend an ear. Elizabeth's features contorted in disgust. No way, I am not talking to my moms about that. Mom's jaw dropped and she gasped in an exaggerated display of shock. Her hand came up to rest against her chest. Ma only grinned. She didn't look offended by Elizabeth's quick response at all. It really wouldn't be so bad to come to us. I know what it's like to have a crush on a pretty boy or two. I don't, but I can listen anyway. Mom snorted at her own joke, while Ma burst into giggles. They're having a little too much fun at Elizabeth's expense. Elizabeth certainly wasn't feeling the amusement because she rolled her eyes and sat up. I'm going back to my room. I'd rather melt alone, thanks. She strode off towards the staircase, taking the steps 2 at a time. Your mom stared after her, then turned to each other with raised eyebrows. Whoops, looks like we scared her off with all that romance talk. Oh well, we'll get her next time. You watched them titter with some surprise. Obviously, your moms liked women, but you had no idea that Ma liked guys too. Today was the first time you heard her say something like that. Ma, you like guys and girls? Ma turned to you, happy to bring you into things now that you'd spoken up. She smiled and nodded. That's right, I like both. But I like your mom most out of everyone. She's special. Ma's smile turned all soft in the corners, like it usually did when she looked at her. She pinched Mom's cheek lightly. Mom reached up to cup a hand over Ma's. Even when Ma stopped pulling her cheek, their hands remained clasped together. Thanks, Lonnie. I think most women have charm, but no one can hold a candle to you. Okay, you guys are getting a little too cheesy for me. Aw, Pamela. Ma beamed, then kissed Mom on the cheek she'd been pinching before. I mean, I do think it's a little sweet, but also, like, y'all are making it kind of a little bigger than... I guess I would cringe. They're embarrassing. You slouched down as if that would hide you from sight. Why were parents like that? Ma looked back to you, letting Mom's hand go with a brief squeeze. She settled down next to you, and Mom followed soon after. Great. You know, I'm also here to listen to you whenever you're ready. That offer isn't just for Elizabeth. She bumped her shoulder with yours, a reassuring smile in place. There's no rush, of course. You can take all the time you need to figure out what, or who, you want. Don't think you just have to stick with whatever you come up with right now, either. Life's nice like that. It can change, and you can learn. Mom nodded her agreement. The two of us are happy to hear you out, and we might be able to relate better than you think. Still, we won't push the topic, at least most of the time. She gave Ma the weakest, scathing look possible while being unable to stop grinning. Yeah. You weren't sure what to say to that. Mom let out another exaggerated sniffle. It didn't take a genius to realize it was fake. First Elizabeth and now you, Kit? Do you have to grow up? Yes. Children tend to do that from time to time. Your parents quickly grew absorbed in their conversation about rearing kids. You took that as your cue to leave, getting up so you could spend some time alone in your room, too. They let you go without a problem, so you made your way up the stairs. You let out a sigh once you stepped into your room. It was just as sweltering in there as it was in the living room, possibly even a little warmer. You couldn't even open your window since it was hotter outside and you just let the AC out. You dragged your feet as you crossed the room. You checked your current sweltering condition in the mirror as you passed by it. You thought back to the conversation you'd had downstairs about growing up and all that. After a moment, you stepped a bit closer to the mirror. You stared into it, then turned away from the surface to look down at yourself, okay? You're definitely growing, alright. It was weird thinking about how you were now in comparison to what you'd been like when you were younger. When it came to your body, it sort of scrawny. I don't know, I guess scrawny is a way I'd refer to myself. Yeah, I've never done this before. Looked at myself in the mirror and gone, damn, I'm scrawny, but okay. I guess it's the first time for everything. You shifted to the side, your head still facing forward and continuing the self-evaluation from this viewpoint. What you were born as impacted the way your body grew, but it wasn't what really determined who you were. You tried to imagine what your adult self might be like. Your fingers brushed over your cheeks as you stared at the freckles dusting your features. It is as if they quadrupled in the summertime with all the extra sun. You took a step backwards, finished with your impromptu inspection. You locked eyes with your reflection, cocking your head to the side. All things considered, I have another one to say? I don't know. I am simply neutral. You tilted your head over to the opposite side, but you still couldn't find anything to have much of an opinion on. You shook your head roughly, putting thoughts of what you were turning into out of your mind. A monster? This wasn't the time to focus on such things. You had to find something to do in this heat. You shuffled over to your bed, collapsing onto the mattress, your brow scrunched up in thought. Time passed slowly, and to your annoyance, possible ideas about what to do were few and far between. You weren't sure how long it had been, but eventually you heard your mom call you from downstairs. Kit, there's a call for you. Cove wants to come over. Is that alright? Yeah, we'll both just die in the heat, spread out on the wood floor. Bleh. You perked up at the words, sitting up in the bed. You yelled back to her immediately. Yeah. You got to your feet and headed downstairs, eager to see your friend. You needed to go downstairs soon anyway, because your empty stomach told you it was almost time for lunch. Just as you reached the bottom of the stairs, you saw Mom put the phone back on the receiver. She glanced at Ma, leaning her hip against the kitchen counter. Well, here comes trouble. We better prepare ourselves. Ma clicked her tongue in clear disapproval of Mom's words. No, they're great. He's such a good boy. Cove never wants to cause trouble. He can just be a bit thoughtless and impulsive. Oh, I know. He's very sweet, but that's what makes it more of a problem. If a stranger or some kid from school was egging Kit on to behave badly, I think we can both agree that they'd do the right thing in the end. But if Cove Holden got into a reckless mood and wanted Kit to be a part of the ride, can we really be certain of what call they'd make then? Yes, I think so. Kit helps Cove settle. That's cute. He would have gotten himself in even more trouble without them. You have a point. Ma just laughed. As she turned away, still snorting, her eyes met yours. She blinked in surprise, then waved at you with an easy grin. Was I not supposed to hear that? Mom looked over, noticing you at the foot of the stairs as well. Oh, I didn't expect you to come down already, Kit. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. Bitch? No. I wouldn't mean it as a bitch thing. I don't know what this means. Well, if I hadn't come now, then I wouldn't have heard everything you said. Ooh, you got caught, Pam. What? You were saying things too. I didn't say anything I wouldn't have told Kit directly. Oh, you're unbelievable. You shook your head at your parents, even as you fought a blush when you remembered what they'd just been discussing. Alright, you got me. I'm sorry for being gossipy and saying that about your friend. I can be bad, too. We'll get out of your way now. Mom sighed in mock defeat and made her way down the hall. Ma followed after her with a hushed giggle. Now you were alone in the living room, tasked with waiting for Cove. And that was just fine, but by you. If it hadn't been so hot outside, you would have visited him at his house a long time ago. You took a seat at the kitchen counter and settled in for the wait, put your cheek on the cool counter. Ah. As expected, there was a knock on the door a few minutes later. When you got up and answered it, your neighbor was standing on the other side. He came in once you stepped aside to let him pass, giving a little wave. You greeted him as you typically did. I bet it's gonna give me a multiple choice question or answer for different ways to greet someone. Boom. With a low 5. Oh, okay, I understand now. I was imagining a high 5, but lower. They mean it like this. Okay, with a nudge to the shoulder, with a noogie, or with a hug. I wouldn't do any of these things. If I had a friend come over to my house, I'd open the door, I'd let them in, I'd shut the door, we'd go do things. There's no hello. I just saw you last night, whenever that was, with a wave. You waved back, closing the door behind him with your free hand. Cove sighed and wiped out his face a bit. You noted the sheen of sweat across his brow. Ew. He must be glad to be back in an air-conditioned place, even if he only had to walk across the street to get there. It must be obvious that you were confused by his visit, because he answered your unspoken question. I don't want to do anything, not when it's like this. Alright. He gestured vaguely to the humid air hanging around. I thought I could at least do nothing with you. You thought that was really sweet. I just had to pause, go over here to just... I'm so normal and unthinking about anything. How'd you know I was doing nothing? Maybe I had plans. Yes, both of these. His words were nice and expressed real fondness for you in a strange sort of way, which was usually the case with Cove. Nice, but kind of strange. Have you had lunch yet? I was gonna do it soon. He shook his head. I haven't really felt like eating because of the heat. Okay. I probably should have lunch. I didn't have breakfast this morning. I'm gonna beat you up, Cove. I do not get like that at all. You gotta have something now. You urged Cove in the direction of the kitchen. He stumbled after you. Okay. As one, you headed into the kitchen. You crossed your arms as you glanced around, wondering what you should scrounge up for a meal. I don't want to eat anything that's warmed up. Understandable. Listen, I could understand eating something cold, or at least room temperature, but not eating at all? Is there something cold or not cooked? Yeah. After a bit of back and forth, the two of you concluded that you should raid the fridge and cabinet in order to make sandwiches. That was my thought. With that settled, you would plan to decide on the outside layers first. Bread? There was a wide variety to choose from since everyone in your house had their own favorites. There was white bread, wheat bread, sourdough, mixed grains, gluten-free bread, and pita pockets. Okay. Could you take the grain one for me? Sure. You reached for the mixed grains, then made your decision. Cinnamon swirl bread! I've never had a cinnamon swirl sandwich before, but I saw the bread and you pulled out the cinnamon swirl bread too, setting both items onto the counter. Then you had to decide what main direction the sandwich would go in. What is a sweeter style of sandwich? You put meat and cheese on it, maybe a condiment if you're feeling like it, and you're done. What is this? I'm going this route just to see what the options are. Something sweet would be perfect in this sweltering heat. I will go back for the other savory side. I just want to know what the hell a sweet sandwich is. As for the specific ingredients... Okay. Peanut butter, cashew butter, honey, marshmallow fluff, chocolate hazelnut spread, strawberry jam, grape jelly, orange marmalade, banana slices, mango slices, strawberries, and apple slices. Okay. I guess I could understand sweet because of the marshmallow fluff, maybe like the fruit sweet, jelly. I would not, well, I could make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. On cinnamon raisin bread. Or cinnamon swirl. I just kind of put the raisins in there myself, I guess. No. I would make a savory sandwich. Something savory would make it feel like a real meal. As for the specific ingredients, okay, holy hackaroni. Ham. Wow, okay. Ham. I don't normally have lettuce in my house. Sure. Pickles. I guess cheddar. I'm so boring when it comes to sandwiches, you guys. I'm like, half of me is going, this is what I would put on a sandwich, and the other half of me is going, oh my god, we have to make it look good for the video. If I was making a sandwich at home, done. For the finishing touch, you intended to top your sandwich with mayonnaise. I would have to take the lettuce off if I was having a ham and mayo sandwich. Whatever. Oh, I could do more! No. You nodded to yourself with quiet hum, satisfied. People are judging me for the way I make sandwiches. I can feel it. The two of you bustled around the kitchen, opening and closing things in order to collect everything you needed for your individual sandwiches. You focused intently on assembling your own, for the most part. When you were close to being done, though, you glanced over at your neighbor. Cove was putting his sandwich together delicately, his brow furrowed and tongue sticking out just barely. There were open jars of peanut butter and honey near his plate, as well as a banana peel. Ew. Peanut butter, honey, and banana sandwich. You're just like my real-life best friend, and I hate that for the both of you. So he was making peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich on mixed grain bread. No, I got that point already. Seemed weird. You would have done at least some things differently. Curiosity sated, you turned back to your plate and finished your own creation. My mayonnaise, ham, lettuce, and cinnamon swirl bread. By the time you were done, Cove had already cleaned up his workstation. He turned to face you, studying your sandwich briefly. A small smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. You guessed it didn't look inedible to him, at least. Okay, great. Go team! Done? Yeah, if he chose anything, would he be like, ew? Or would he just accept it? Cool. He waited as you quickly returned the ingredients and cleaned a few utensils. For sandwiches? No, the utensils we made. Okay. Then the two of you collected your respective plates. You both agreed on heading upstairs to hang out in your room. Okay, first of all, if I had a sandwich, it would go on a paper towel. Not on a plate. You and Cove entered your bedroom while balancing your food on the plates. Nothing fell, so it was a successful trip. Cove took a seat on the ground, stretching out on the hardwood floor in an attempt to keep a bit cooler. He immediately took a big bite of his sandwich, chewed, then hummed happily. This sandwich is really good. At least that's something. At this point, you sat down and started on your own sandwich. You nodded. I like that you could make a sandwich so terrible that you later go, no. Obviously, you were a pro at making sandwiches. He leaned back on his hands while chewing and glanced around. His every movement was sluggish. Want to do something? Like what? It seemed the plan of not doing anything at all had already worn thin, despite his lack of enthusiasm. Like what? He rolled his head back, looking up at the ceiling. What about tic-tac-toe? Sure. You put your plate to the side and pulled out some markers and scrap paper. As you laid everything on the floor, he scooted back to make more room in front of you. Cove picked up one of the markers with his right hand while keeping a half slice of sandwich in his left. Hoo-ah. I want to be X's, so you can go first. I think that's fair. Okay. You prepare to note down your first move, your marker hovering over the paper. Do I get to choose? Okay. I get to choose where I want to go? Oh my god. I'm really playing tic-tac-toe. After the first round, you were about to take another bite of your sandwich when a thought occurred to you. I wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs. Huh? The TV, it was on earlier, but no one was really watching. Then everyone started leaving the living room. I know I didn't turn it off. It might still be on downstairs with no one there. Cove smiled crookedly at that. Poor show, playing around with no one to enjoy it. What was it? I don't know. He squinted off in the middle distance, trying to recall the show's name. I feel like it was some kind of crime-solving drama. Cove nodded sleepily. His eyes closed, then opened again with some effort. Oh boy. Can you give any specifics? Maybe I can guess it. Well, you rested your chin on your open palm, groggily thinking as hard as you could. We're both going down, my dude. I remember there was a woman with long blonde hair, I think. She was the one solving crimes, like as a detective or something. There were scenes in a police station because someone got arrested. You lapsed into the silence, the both of you thoughtful. Then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but you joined in with the laughter anyways. I don't know what that is. Me neither, and I just saw it. Ah. Another round came and went, and Cove grumbled as he readjusted himself. I am at the very least not winning this game. We're gonna tie. His features were twisted in a grimace. I feel so sticky. Gross. Ugh, I'm gonna be stuck to this floor forever now. I'll have to charge you rent. I would get a shovel. Nah. It's always funny to hear Cove be so dramatic. You smiled to yourself. Then you returned to the game. Great. Okay, no, I could win this. I'm gonna win. Bitch. Cove spoke up once more, catching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper between you, his expression thoughtful. You know, tic-tac-toe is such a weird name for a game. What does it even mean? Maybe they named it because people played it with ticks and tacks? I will have to look it up later. Maybe I'll do that too. I'd say we could look it up now, but we don't have cell phones. There's a computer in the background, but that said, the two of you turned your attention back to the game. Bitch. Oh, you won. I'm surprised about it too. Did you try to win? Not really. Me too. He smiled at you in an amused way. You somehow weren't surprised by that, despite Cove being the one who suggested the game in the first place. He started to yawn, his hand coming up to cover his mouth. It quickly transitioned into a small laugh. You understood why. Yawning just as he said he was feeling disinterested was kind of a funny coincidence. You should have played the challenge more seriously. I don't know. Shake my head? Cove just grinned and flopped onto his back, leaving his marker on the floor beside him. You stayed seated, looking your friend over as he stretched himself out. You really are so tall now. Cove snickered a bit at the random topic. He propped himself up onto his elbows to meet your gaze. Why are you bringing that up? You shrugged. It made perfect sense to you to bring it up. My moms were talking about me and Elizabeth growing up, getting bigger, and stuff. What kind of stuff? Well, Mom only likes women, and Ma likes women too, but not just women. Interesting way to say that. Okay. Yeah. Since the two of you were engaged in conversation, Cove got back into his sitting position. He brought his knee up and rested his arm across it. Sure. A wistful expression overtook his face. I wonder when I'll know how I feel about that kind of thing. You don't know? Cove shook his head. I've heard at some point you're supposed to start liking types of people, guys, girls, whoever. But I haven't. Nothing's changed. Maybe I have to grow up more. Maybe you just don't like anybody. Or maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too. Cove seemed to appreciate that thought if the smile that appeared on his lips was any indication. Okay, what about you? Who do you like? He turned his attention to you, looking encouraging. Physical attraction in a general way. Physical attraction in specific cases and situations. This is so generalized. No physical interest in other people. You didn't think you could tell if you had an interest in people physically. Okay. Specific cases and situations? Oh. Oh, okay. So that was physical. Romantic. Same options. Specific cases and situations. But specifically when it came down... Why'd you have to make me sound so general at first and then you were gonna go? Reading. Okay. Yeah? And how you felt towards girls. This one. I mean, kind of in the middle of here. For people who weren't exclusively male or female. Oh my god. Yes. You turned your attention to Cove. I didn't have to read that one. I needed to double check to make sure that they hadn't swapped the answers around. But the rest of them I didn't even read. You returned your attention to Cove. He was waiting patiently for your response. Oh, sorry, I had to soul search there for a second. I guess I'll explain. He nodded understandingly at your attempt to describe how you felt. It was nice to have people who supported you when it came to who you liked. And you knew he accepted you for who you were too. He never treated you differently because of your identity. Then he scratched the back of his head, sheepish. I'm not really sure how we ended up talking about all that when we started out playing tic-tac-toe. It's actually tic-tac-hoe. Sorry, we didn't tell you. But it was good, I think. Yeah? I don't know. Cove chuckled a little bashfully. He glanced around, clearly scrambling for something else to say. So, have you written anything new recently? Okay. I have. The conversation took a lighter turn after that, and it felt like you got closer that afternoon. Finally, the blazing sun began to set. To your relief, the air cooled down a bit as the result. You pulled yourself off the floor, as did Cove, with some minor complaint. You both stretched your arms, groaning, and yawned into your hands. You glanced out the window briefly, taking in the soft reds, pinks, and purples of the late afternoon sky. Somehow you had made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned to you, motioning towards your window with his chin. Want to go outside? It might be better out there than it is in here now. Sure. The two of you took your time heading downstairs. You stopped briefly to grab a drink of water, then continued on your way. You stepped outside, one after the other, your destination being the familiar hills behind your house. This time of day it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt the breeze cool your heated skin, and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath. I really love it out here. You do? That's surprising. your opinion. This should be sarcastic, but I'm not sure that it is. I like the flowers, though. So, yes. As a kid, I would have stayed inside, but... Cove smiled. Tendrils of his hair danced with the wind. A beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. Okay. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again. I'm glad I met you, Kit. You're really important to me, you know. Thanks. None of these are thanks. It's so nice of you to say. Smile, you're being too sweet, you're special. The two of you seemed kind of silly, standing there staring at each other, but you didn't care. Then Cove rested an arm on one of your shoulders, leaning against you. Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could. Sorry. The touch thing, I couldn't do it. I'm reading that and I'm going, ugh. Okay. So that was the end of that one. I kind of ruined the moment there at the end, but so that one did go through what I thought it was going to go through with attraction and sexuality a little bit. I'm surprised it wasn't as detailed as I thought it was going to be. Maybe there's one later because we're only 13. Maybe there's one later where we expand upon that a little bit. But that's the only one that I know of where it pops up, so. Anyway, we're almost at an hour, so I should end this episode here. I always feel just terrible ending the episodes because I want to play more. I want to see more of this. But I am stopped by my need to create hour-long videos. It's so sad. Thank you for watching this video. However, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm definitely enjoying this series. And I will see you next time for the family dinner. Because we're probably going to do two, and they're going to be family and dinner, so might as well combine them. The family dinner. We'll see you then.